Welcome viewers. Today we will discuss about an overview of type 1 organizational theories. The learning objective here is describing the type 1 theories or classical theories of management. We will specifically discuss about management science theory, Henry Fayol's contribution to organizational theory, Max Weber's bureaucracy and rational planning model by Ralph Davis. Why do we need to learn management theory? Learning management theory is very crucial as it provides a framework to navigate an organization to a complex, rapidly changing business environment, as it helps in improving our decision making, helps organizations to adapt, boost employee motivation and engagement. It also helps in enhancing organizational efficiency. The theories, particularly the modern theories, integrate data driven approaches with a focus on human factors and situational context to help managers effectively achieve organizational goals and gain competitive edge in a dynamic world. It is important to learn management theories in the context of 2025 in order to be adaptive to dynamic environment, as there is a climate change, geopolitical conflicts and technological advancements to promote flexibility and strategic responsiveness. There are different methods like quantitative methods, statistics, optimization techniques which help make evidence based decisions, which will help in overcoming any kind of error in decision making. Contingency theories guide managers adapt management style to the specific situation to improve, enhance human relations and engagement, improve efficiency and productivity, provides frameworks to plan, organize, control and streamline the operations in order to achieve organizational objectives. These theories also foster innovation and competitive advantage, understand drivers of innovations and also help in developing, cultivating new ideas and strategies. It acknowledges relevance of technology, importance of technology to emphasize critical roles of motivation and relationship in the workplace. It helps managers understand internal dynamism, internal processes and external macro environmental factors like political factors, economic factors, socio-demographic changes, technological changes which have been updated again and again, environmental pressures, legal factors to recognize and manage impacts on the firm. So, as we have already discussed the evolution and categorization of various theories into type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4 theories, the classical theories of scientific management, bureaucracy and administrative theories categorized as type 1 theories, and the human relations theory, the neoclassical theory of management, the behavioral science aspects have been categorized as type 2 theories. Management science theory with focus on efficiency of workforce and operations research which optimally utilizes resources with focus on quality and zero defects, empowerment of employees, re-engineering. This concept has been categorized as type 3, and the type 4 theories emphasize on systems approach, contingency approach, multivariate approach. These are all type 3 and type 4 theories have been considered as modern management theories which are still in the process of evolution, which have been improving again and again with their new management thoughts to help organizations improve their decision making. Role of theories in understanding organizational dynamics. Theory is a coherent group of assumptions which have been put forth by management practitioners to explain the relationship between two or more observable facts, to provide a sound basis for predicting future events. How and why do theories help managers? Theories guide management decisions. Every manager has his or her own perspectives, own approach to take decisions, but theories are reference points for taking decisions. It provides guidelines for taking a right approach to decision making, shapes managers' views of organizations, as we have discussed about various perspectives of people about organizations, as a organization as a machine metaphor, as a living systems, as a system, open system, as a political system. So, these viewpoints help managers to take decisions and make them aware of the organization as well as its business environment. It is a source of idea generation. If we have a clear perspective about how organization functions and what are the viewpoints of how organization is behaving with respect to the fluctuations in the business environment, so we can respond accordingly, and it also gives us an overview for idea generation. Categorizing organizational theories based on related metaphors. As discussed, all various metaphors have evolved over a period of time based on the assumptions of people, based on assumptions of practitioners. So, as these assumptions shape the views of the dominant management theories and practitioners. Type 1 theories basically focuses on mechanical efficiency, and it is based on machine metaphor and closed systems metaphor. Organizations are considered to be like a machine. And classical theories, the focus is on universal principles of how to manage organizations. The theoretical foundations for structure and design has evolved from the viewpoints developed by the management practitioners like Frederick Winslow Taylor, Henry Fayol, Max Weber and Ralph Davis. The second one, that is type 2 theories. Type 2 theories focuses on people and human relations. Organization is considered as a living systems or anthropomorphizing organizations. The concern of neoclassical theories of management or the type 2 theories of management is how to improve employees or human relations in the workplace. The concern is on people and human relations, improving efficiency of people. Elton Mayo, Chester Barnard, Warren Bennis, Douglas McGregor are the people, are the management practitioners who have given their views in the neoclassical theories of management. They have helped in shaping the type 2 theories of management with a focus on people and their relationship in the workplace. It will help in improving the group dynamics. It will help in changing the behavior of people to be more efficient so that they can be productive in the workplace. The type 3 theories focus on power and politics. The dominant metaphor here is political system metaphor. The organizations have been viewed as a political system with basis of power and politics, with the resources in organizations being very limited, and people try to take maximum benefit out of the limited resources. Type 3 theorists focus on power and politics. Their view is organizations as a political systems metaphor. The practitioners here have given the March and Shimon's cognitive limit to rationality, Pfeffer's organizations in political arena. Their focus is treating organization as or viewing organization as a political system where decision making has to be more rational, and the focus is management science theory, operations research, information systems, quality improvement, re-engineering. Type 4 theorists have given a view, have taken the perspective of organization systems metaphor, contingency designs, and the modern management theories like the dynamic open systems interacting with their environment, and this viewpoint has been given by Shimon, Kaz and Khan, environmental perspectives, the case of the Aston Group and organizational science. Or to begin with, we will first discuss about the type 1 theories and their contribution. Their focus is on mechanical efficiency, machine metaphor and closed systems metaphor. Type 1 theorists have developed classical school of management, developed universal principles applicable in all situations. These theories have been considered to have evolved during the first industrial revolution and their emphasis is on mechanical efficiency. Machine organization is considered to be a machine and it is operating in a closed system. So, classical theorists, universal principles of how to manage organizations, theoretical foundations for structure and designs have been given by Frederick Taylor, who has given emphasis on scientific management principles, Henry Fayol, principles of organizations, Max Weber, who focused on bureaucracy, and Ralph Davis focused on rational planning. Classical approach to management emphasizes on scientific management, administrative principles of management, and bureaucratic principles of management, bureaucratic organizations. Classical management theorists of the late 19th century and the early 20th centuries included Frederick Taylor, Frank and Lillian Galbraith, Henry Fayol, Mary Parker Follett, and Max Weber. Frederick Taylor's scientific management, Frank and Lillian Galbraith has given time and motion studies. The focus is on efficient work, how to improve efficiency at work. The focus of administrative principles is making organizations more efficient. The management practitioners who dominated during this time period were Henry Fayol, Mary Parker Follett. Administrative principles have been given by Henry Fayol and Mary Parker Follett. Their focus is on improving efficiency of organizations. Bureaucratic organizations, Max Weber proposed the concept of bureaucracy. The common assumption of classical approach of management is employees act in a rational manner and are primarily driven by economic concern. Major branches in the classical approach to management with the assumption like people are rational, scientific management given by Frederick Taylor, administrative principles given by Henry Fayol, bureaucratic organizations proposed by Max Weber. Classical management approach provides guidelines, principles of scientific management, develop for every job a science that includes rules of motion, standardization of work, implementing and providing proper working conditions. Carefully select workers with right abilities or scientific selection of people for the right job. Train workers carefully to do the job and give them proper incentives, incentivize workers to cooperate with the job of science. Support workers by carefully planning their work and by smoothing the way as they go about their jobs. Support workers, schedule their jobs and provide them guidance to perform their jobs respectively. Scientific management's major concern was timekeeping. It was fundamental to Frederick Winslow's theories of management. Frederick Taylor is known today as father of scientific management. One of his prime concerns, one of his many contributions to modern management is common practice of giving employees rest breaks throughout the day. His concern was people cannot continue to work unless there is rest given to them. The philosophy of Frederick Taylor that sought to increase productivity and make the work easier by scientifically studying work methods. There is science in every work people do, scientific understanding of the work methods and establishing standards of performance. In the past scientific management theory, there were 4 principles which emphasized on improving human efficiency, develop a scientific approach for each element of an individual's work, scientifically select, train, teach and develop workers. The focus is on training workers, focus is on development of employees in the workplace, cooperation with workers to ensure the jobs match plans and principles. There is no misalignment from the or deviation from the task given to them. Ensure appropriate division of labor. There is a proper structure or there is a well placed division of labor People are given tasks according to their knowledge and efficiency. The three areas of focus was task performance. There has to be a supervisor allotted to an employee or supervision, and keep your employees motivated, motivation of workforce. Two managerial practices. One is piece rate incentive system, time and motion studies, which were emphasized in the scientific management concept. Taylor's principles of management, development of a scientific method of designing job to replace the rule of thumb method. The scientific selection and progressive teaching and development of employees. So his concern was science or adopting scientific method for designing jobs, development of workers or development of employees, bring together scientifically selected employees and scientifically developed methods for designing the jobs so that the efficiency of workers improve, or a division of work resulting in interdependence between management and workers. Other scientific management practitioners, Henry Lawrence Gantt. Gantt is best known for his work in production control and his invention of Gantt chart, which is still in practice today. The Gantt chart graphically depicts both expected and completed production. Gantt was also one of the first management pioneers to state publicly the social responsibility of management and the business. He believed the community would attempt to take over the business if the business systems neglected the social responsibilities. Next proposition of scientific management was given by Frank and Lillian Galbraith. The Galbraiths studied time and motion study. The focus of motion studies was to reduce the repetitions, science of reducing a job or task to its basic physical motions, eliminating wasted motions, improving efficiency of workforce. How can we provide a best method so that there is less of fatigue and improving efficiency of workers? Frank and Lillian Galbraith, the Galbraiths, inspired by Frederick Winslow Taylor and the scientific research, were amongst the first to use motion picture films to study hand and body movements to eliminate wasted motions or wasted movements. Frank Galbraith's major area of interest was study of motions and work methods. Lillian Galbraith's primary field was psychology. Following Frank's untimely death in 1924, Lillian continued their work for almost 50 years until her death in 1972. She is the first lady of management who has spent 50 years of her life emphasizing concern for worker and showing how scientific management should foster rather than stifle employees. During this time, Lillian's work emphasized concern for workers, and she showed how scientific management should foster rather than stifle employees. Because of her achievements, Lillian Galbraith became the first lady of management. By combining time and motion studies and psychology, the Galbraiths contributed greatly to research in the area of fatigue, boredom, and morale. Their contribution, the management theory of Frank and Lillian Galbraith, can be summarized as reducing the number of motions in a task to increase efficiency, focus on incremental study of time and motion to understand an entire task. The goal of increased efficiency is both increased profit and greater worker satisfaction. Practical lessons to be learned from scientific management: result based compensation, carefully design jobs with efficient work methods, carefully select workers with their abilities to do these jobs, train workers to perform jobs to the best of their abilities, train supervisors to support workers so that they can perform to the best of their abilities. Further, administrative theory of management also contributed towards improving the efficiency of work. Attempt to find a rational way to design an organization as a whole. This theory calls for a formalized administrative structure, a clear division of labor, and delegation of power and authority to the administrators relevant to their areas of responsibilities. It is developed by Henry Fayol, the administrative principles of management, and Max Weber gave bureaucratic management. The concern for administrative principles of management developed by Henry Fayol was top-down approach, coordination, hierarchy, hierarchical pyramid. All employees are accountable to one supervisor. A supervisor can only have a number of subordinates whom he or she can manage. Routine work must be performed by subordinates so that supervisor can attend to specialized tasks. Specialization, distribution of activities in work group. Fayol's theory developed 14 principles applicable to managers at all levels of an organization, described the functions of each manager. The primary concern of Fayol is to systematize an organization, use scientific forecasting and proper method of management. He has given a macro concept of organization. The focus on formal organizational structure separates a basic process of general and the basic process of general management. Fayol's theory, Henry Fayol is a Frenchman, was the first to issue a complete statement on a theory of general management. Though popular in Europe in 1900s, the theory did not really gain acceptance in America until late 1940s. Fayol's greatest contribution is considered to be his theory of management or 14 principles of management. The focus of the principles of management is division of work, division of labor. Concept of specialization of work came into picture. Further, he also focused on authority, that is formal or positional authority versus personal authority. Discipline based on obedience and respect. There is also concern for unity of command. Each employee should receive orders from one supervisor. Unity of direction. There is a direction or a plan proposed, one boss and one plan for a group of activities having the same objective. There cannot be multiple directions and multiple objectives. Subordination of individuals' interest. The primary concern of people who are working in the organization is to view the collective interest of the organization and subordinate their individual or shun their individual interest. Remuneration emphasizes on the mode of payment of wages was dependent on several factors. Centralization, the degree of centralization, degree to which the power is bestowed with the top management, the degree of centralization desired depends on the situation and the formal communication channels. Scalar chain or the continuous line of authority shows the routing of line of authority and the formal communication channels. Order ensures a place for everything. There has to be a well placed order or place for everything in the organization. Otherwise, if there is no order, there would be chaos. To improve efficiency, there has to be order in the organization. Equity resulted from kindness and justice. The workplace has to be equitable, which will otherwise result in biases in decision making. Stability of tenured personnel called for orderly personnel planning. The people who are working in the organization have a tenure which people are hired for a particular tenure. So, there has to be a stability of tenured personnel. Initiative called for individuals' zeal and energy in all efforts. Esprit de corps or the group spirit or team spirit emphasized the building of harmony and unity within the organization. Fayol's real contribution, however, was not just the 14 principles, but the formal recognition and combination of these principles into 4 functions of management: planning, organizing, directing and controlling. He emphasized planning and organizing as essential for the organization. The classical management approach given by Henry Fayol, or administrative principles of management proposed by Henry Fayol, emphasizes on duties, responsibilities of management as planning or foresight to complete a plan of action for the future, organizing or organization to provide and mobilize resources to implement the plan, command to lead, select and evaluate workers to get the best work towards the plan, how workers can be motivated, how workers can be led so that they give maximum effort towards reaching the target or the plan. Coordination talks about to fit diverse efforts, to get collective efforts together and ensure information is shared and problems are solved. Coordination talks about communicating to the work group, giving the or sharing the plan with other employees in the organization to get their concerted effort, to get the diverse efforts of people working in the organization so that they can all collectively they can reach at the goal. Control talks about making sure how things happen according to the plan and take corrective actions. There is a control exercised in every activity. There is a feed forward control, there is a feedback control mechanism which will help in improving efficiency without having any defect in the processes. So, administrative theory of management, administrative principles proposed by Henry Fayol, mostly focused on scalar chain. There should be clear and unbroken line of communication or continuous line of communication from top to the bottom, unity of command. Each person should receive orders from one boss, unity of direction so that there is no chaos, no miscommunication. One person should be in charge of all activities with the same performance objectives. Bureaucratic management. The next topic to be discussed is bureaucratic management. It was developed by Max Weber, known as father of sociology. It includes social and historical perspectives. According to Weber, the employees must act as if supervisor's interest were his own, thus they stay in bureaucratically assigned role. Bureaucracy is a specific administrative structure which is based on legal and rule oriented authority. Certain important points to be discussed in bureaucratic management. Max Weber, a German sociologist, developed theory of bureaucratic management, stressed the need for hierarchy governed by clear rules, regulations and continuous line of authority. He considered the ideal organization to be a bureaucratic organization whose activities and objectives were rationally thought out and there is a concern for division of labor which is explicitly defined. He believed technical competence should be emphasized and performance evaluation should be entirely based on merit. Weber sought to improve performance of socially important organizations by making their organizations predictable and productive. Developed an ideal bureaucratic structure characterized by division of labor, clearly defined authority structure, authority hierarchy, formal selection processes, detailed rules and regulations, impersonality in interpersonal relationship. He emphasized on strictly defined hierarchy governed by clearly defined rules and lines of authority. Max Weber wanted to eliminate nepotism, favoritism in the workplace so that there is a rational decision to be favored and there is no bias. He created a rational method or scientific and logical approach to business. Most of the workplace, the concern of organizations is to improve efficiency of workforce and to be free from biases, favoritism and nepotism. So, bureaucracy refers to management of large organizations, how large organizations can be managed, characterized by scalar chain of command, hierarchy, rules and regulations to be strictly followed, impersonal relationship, no personal agenda, rigid adherence to procedure and highly specialized division of labor so that people are very clear with organizational plans. Bureaucracy is an ideal, intentional, rational, and well efficiently formed organization based on the principles of logic, order, legitimate authority. There are certain characteristics of bureaucracy: clear division of labor, hierarchy of authority, formal rules and procedures, impersonality, career based on merit. Possible disadvantages of bureaucracy is excessive paperwork or red tapeism, or which slows down the processes. Excessive paperwork or red tapeism slows down handling problems, rigidity in face of shifting needs, resistance to change, and employee apathy. So, if you largely summarize bureaucratic model, there are certain important points to remember. Bureaucracy is emphasizing on division of labor, authority and hierarchy, formal selection of employees, formal rules and regulations to be followed, impersonality and career orientation. To go to delve deeper into each of these is division of labor emphasizes on how jobs are broken down into simple, routine and well defined, well structured tasks. Authority or hierarchy talks about continuous line of communication, positions organized in hierarchy with a clear chain of command. There is a boss who is giving directions, or it's a top down approach of management. Formal selection of employees talks about how people are selected for different jobs and responsibilities based on their technical proficiency or technical qualification. Formal rules and regulations, system of well defined rules and regulations, written rules and regulations and standards of operating procedures. Impersonality talks about uniform application of rules and controls not according to personalities but based on their positions. Career orientation, managers are career professionals and not owners of the entity. So, each one working in the organization has a career concept, has a career to advance in the organization. Overall, discussing about Fayol's and Max Weber's theories, the concept of management skills has evolved. Concept of identifiable principles for effective managerial behavior made managers aware of the basic kinds of problems encountered in any organization and how to improve efficiency by focusing on the contributions of Fayol's and Max Weber's theory. Concept of management skills has been given by Weber and Fayol. Concept of identifiable principles of management for effective managerial behavior made managers aware of basic kinds of problems in any organization. So, rational planning, the focus of Ralph Davis, is rational planning perspective of an organization based on development of clear goals and plans to achieve those goals. Primary objective of business firm is economic value. Economic value is generated by activities of members who engage in creating the products and services. Management's job is to group the activities in such a way that it forms an organization, arrangement of tasks. Hence, the structure of organization is contingent upon organizational objective. Rational planning includes comprehensive long range view, systematic analytical approach in planning process. The rational planning model is the process of realizing a problem, establishing and evaluating plans, planning criteria, creating alternatives, implementing alternatives and monitoring progress of the alternatives used in designing neighborhoods, cities and regional planning. The rational planning model is central to development of modern urban planning and transportation planning. The rational planning model starts with formulation of goals and objectives and targets, collection of data, analysis of the data, development of alternatives, feedback, monitoring, implementation and selection of an alternative solution. So, to begin with the alternative to discuss in details about the rational planning model, there is there is a goal or objective or target, then to reach that objective there are different ways of, or there are different methods. So, first in the process we start with overview of data, define the problem, formulate goals and objectives, operationalize the goal, identify the decision criteria and what are the weights being assigned. Weights or different alternatives have been given different weightage. Examine, evaluate and choose different alternatives. Generate alternatives, abstract into model or framework. Does the solution exist? If there is a solution, yes, you can predict performance. If there is no solution, then decide subjectively, rate each of the alternatives and alternative criteria. So, compute which is the most or which is the optimal solution for to solve a particular problem. Optimum solution to solve a particular problem, implement those alternatives, evaluate the outcome and if it is suitable then you can provide that, take that as a solution. So, organizations are complex and adaptive systems and use rational planning models. In reality, for reaching a goal or an objective, there are different alternatives which are generated and each alternative is evaluated and an optimum solution can be obtained. So, there are advantages and disadvantages of rational planning. The rational planning model helps in generating possible solutions, generate objective assessment criteria, assumes accurate, stable and complete knowledge of all alternatives, preferences, goals and sequence, rational and reasonable approach which is widely applicable. The disadvantages of rational planning model is group decision making process, whole assessment should be correct, otherwise one can get wrong. Planners defines problems and not the goal and it is a time consuming process. This lecture gives a broad overview of type 1 theories, scientific management, administrative theory, bureaucratic management approach and rational planning model, which emphasizes on improving productivity and performance of organizations, highlighting contribution of each one of them in more details. Thank you.